comic creators, artists, writers, world builders, this is your call to action. Here at Talking Comics, we love diving into the stories behind the stories. Whether you're just starting out or you've been in the game for years, we want to hear your journey, your creative process, and what fuels your imagination. So, ready to talk comics with us? Message us or hit the link in our bio and be a guest on Talking Comics. Welcome to Talking Comics. I appreciate you joining me. I know it was short notice, but we're getting it done. Another Invader, like next week's going to be Invader Comics Invasion, I guess we're going to call it.
Hey man, they're hustling.
They're hustling.
They're out there doing it.
We're going to have you on, and then we're going to have TS on both next week. So that's going to be awesome.
His book's great, by the way.
I told him I told him I wasn't going to read it until it came out, but then I broke that rule with you and read yours today. So I might have to read Digger.
It's good. It's great. It's great.
But anyway, sorry. Before we jump into that stuff, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. My name's Jarod Hunter Roe. I grew up a military brat, so I've lived just about everywhere in the U.S. I didn't read comics that much as a kid. I was mostly into comic book movies, Batman, Dick Tracy, like those kind of things when I was a kid. I loved that stuff, and that love sent me out to Hollywood when I was 21 years old because I wanted to work in movies. And I started going to school out there, going to film school, got into writing, got into screenplays. And through that process, that's what kind of got me into comics was my writing partner and I, David Flores, he's the co-creator on this book, Do Not Disturb. We've been working together now for over 10 years.
Wow.
And he's an illustrator. And so he proposed to me like, hey, instead of writing screenplays, you want to try and write a graphic novel. And we did that with our first project, worked together. And we've just kind of kept going down that road because we loved it.
That's awesome. So did you get anywhere in Hollywood with anything? Did you get any?
I mean, you're never really done in Hollywood if you're creating, I guess, right?
Right.
So you never really know. We have a couple screenplays that are optioned, but nothing's gotten made. And that's one of the things that kind of made comics so appealing was Dave could draw. And, in Hollywood, there's always a gatekeeper to creating what you want to create. Someone has to like your screenplay. Someone has to have the money to make it. There's all these things that throw up roadblocks. And, the comics thing is cheaper and we could realize it and there'd be a product at the end of the day. And we both just love the idea of kind of taking a little bit of our own destiny into our hands and just make stuff. And so that's kind of what we've been doing.
So you started with a graphic novel?
Yes.
Wow.
We started with a graphic novel that was published, I think about three years ago, maybe, by a company in the UK called Blue Fox Comics. And that was called The Inspectors. It was an 8-issue series that was released in 2 volumes. Still online if you want to go get it, bluefoxcomics.com. You can go pick up volume 1 and 2. And that was our first foray into comics. We wrote a screenplay together and we said, why don't we do this as a comic? And we did. And it's been out now for about 2 years. And then Do Not Disturb was our next comic project after that.
So how did you get that with Invader? How did that process go?
How did I get Do Not Disturb with Invader? Yeah. They just had open submissions.
Okay.
They're very active on social media. So I'd seen, Mike post about different books and I supported a couple on Kickstarter. And that's part of the process too, right? Is when you're looking at indie publishers, you want to get their product back to know if you like the product, and their books look great. The product was really good whenever it was delivered to me. And I thought, these guys are putting out some good stuff. They seem hungry, they seem active, and they're looking for open submissions. So when Dave and I finished do not disturb. I mean, we did it all ourselves. Dave did the illustrations. We hired out the lettering. We hired out the coloring. And so the book was done before when we approached Invader.
And that's the
And
benefit from what I hear, like, from people I've talked to, is approach them with a full book, like, not
right,
just a script.
right, yeah. I mean, yes, and that's, it's a sunk cost, but for us, uh, it's worth it. My wife talks about remodeling the bathroom, and I'm like, well, I got to pay a colorist. Like we gotta figure it out. Um, but yeah, we've kind of had the mindset because Dave and I have both had day jobs, that pay the bills. We've just had the mindset of let's just make the thing ourselves. We'll pay for it. We'll get it done. And honestly, having an artist in my partner, that's a huge help, right?
Huge.
Because we don't have to pay for the artist. We have to pay for the coloring and the
Right.
lettering. So, we, yeah, we submitted that to Invader and they got back to us and it was all positive, and that was great. I mean, we submitted to Image, but we always knew that was a long shot and never heard back. And Invader was hungry and
Yeah.
they wanted it, so that's how we
That's
move
awesome.
forward. Yeah.
Did you complete it and sell any on your own before you
Nope.
nope. So it's just
Nope.
you finished it on for the purpose of submitting it.
Correct.
That's
Yeah.
that's like that's commitment, I think, right there. Like, that's crazy.
Well, I
I
mean,
mean, that's awesome, but
I mean, I mean, I mean, look, we live in the day and age where you can put out whatever you want if you choose to. I mean, we could have gone to Kickstarter with it and tried to do a Kickstarter and get it printed. Um, but yeah, I mean, Dave and I have always both had the idea that, like, why wait for someone else? Like the best calling card is going to be to have a completed product.
right,
It's much easier than having just a pitch for somebody and like maybe a couple pages of art. Like, let's just do it. We know we can write it all the way to the end. Dave can draw it all the way to the end. And the rest is just, financing the coloring and the lettering, which
right,
it's not cheap, but we could do it. So that's kind of how we've attacked it. And we figure, and it's worked out so far.
right. I mean, you're getting it published and it's coming out in December, so
Yeah.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pull it, I promise you. Um, the because that's like the opposite of like my mindset with my comic. It's just I'm doing this almost as just because I can, to prove to
Yeah.
myself I can, and then working with this artist, like, that's more of a partner than a, hired artist is amazing. He's just as involved and excited about the project as me. Um, but I never really thought about or have the desire to get it published somewhere or submit it for publishing. I'm only doing it, kind of for the podcast and for me and just, have something to sell or give away at conventions or something, So that's an interesting, we'll see where it goes from here, but we'll see.
We'll never say never.
We are beyond excited to share the Chronicles of Panel Pete, a brand new comic coming in early 2026. Written by Talking Comics podcast host AJ Reimann and co-written and illustrated by Mike L. Jarod, Torque Arts Comics. Panel P is a heartfelt comic about courage, imagination, and the hero within. Sure, he may stir up a little mischief, but at the end of the day, he's the hero we all need. Expect variant covers, exclusive merch, and much more. Follow the links in our bio, hit that notify me on launch on Kickstarter, and join us on this adventure.
You know?
Maybe it'll be great and publishers will come after me. You never know.
Exactly.
You never know.
So,
What is your so you're the writer. So what is your like
yes.
writing process, your rituals like when you
Well,
sit down to write?
technically, just to clarify, Dave and I both are the writers.
So you're the
So,
co-writers. Okay.
yeah, we write together.
Okay.
We're kind of creative partners in that way, 50-50 down the line.
So go into
Dave
that.
does,
How does that work?
uh, it's an interesting process. Like Dave and I, we both wrote separately for years. We both wrote screenplays. He would write his, I would write mine, and we knew each other from work. We both worked at the same place. And so we would read each other's work and give each other feedback and notes. And I think through that process, we just grew to respect each other, because I would get great notes from him on my stories, and he would get good notes from me, hopefully, on his stories.
We'll have to ask him.
And that's right. That's right. And so we already had the kind of that respect, I guess you could say, for each other's work when we decided to start working together. And so I think in a writing partnership, it really has to start with that. It has to start with respect for the other person's opinions, because they have good opinions. And there have been times when we've been working together where I don't agree with his opinion, he doesn't agree with mine. And our rules of engagement is that, okay, if that's, if we're coming up against a roadblock like that, then we have to find a third option. There has to be a third option. And usually that process leads to a better option than what we had before.
What you both had individually. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's amazing. What were your biggest influences in your writing, like growing up, or what got you into writing?
Gosh, for me, honestly, it was movies all the
Okay.
way. I say the only comics I really read were like Calvin and Hobbes, when my parents would get me like a Calvin and Hobbes book as a kid.
Right.
Like I knew of comics as movies. I knew
Mhm.
Spider-Man was a comic book originally. I knew Batman, but it was the movies that I really watched. And so uh, the stuff that got me into writing really were films for the most part. And I went to school and had to start writing my own films. And that's how I learned to love. I learned that I wasn't, I didn't want to be an actor. I didn't want to be a director. Like I really liked the process of just dreaming up a story, getting it on the page, um, fleshing out all the characters, and then seeing where it goes after that.
That's really
Uh,
cool.
yeah.
That's really cool. And then how did you discover he was an artist?
Because he was always drawing.
Just always drawing?
Even when he was working, he was always drawing. And I'd be like, Dave, we're supposed to be working right now. And he's like, oh, sorry. And he'd have sketches all over the place. And then he ended up doing a comic on his own, of just his own story, before we started doing it together.
Cool.
He did a comic called Dead Future King that I don't remember where it got published, but he put out 3 issues of that. And then after reading that, I knew he could draw a comic. Like it looked great. And so when he approached me about doing it, I knew it wasn't far-fetched. I knew it wasn't, pie in the sky. I knew we could do it. So
That's awesome. So let's go into that. So let's go into Do Not Disturb. Tell us about
yeah.
it. I read it. It was awesome. I loved it. I haven't heard a
Thank
story
you.
like that theme or that setting or whatever, in just a long time. It was awesome.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that. I mean, I'm biased. I agree.
True.
Yeah, Do Not Disturb is it's a detective mystery, kind of set in a noir setting, but not nearly as dark, I would say. It's loosely inspired by the Cecil Hotel in downtown Los Angeles that has had a lot of hauntings and disappearances and that kind of thing. And it's a beautiful old building, which you get in downtown Los Angeles. There's all these beautiful buildings, this old architecture, and they're in kind of sketchy areas,
Right.
and you just see the beauty through it. And anytime I've been down there, I'm like, man, this place is so gorgeous, but it's a little, it can get a little dirty and a little rough at times. And uh, it kind of provided us a jumping off point for our story. And we had the idea of this detective who's jaded, who, used to be a cop, but never felt like he made a difference, never felt like he changed anything. So he became a private investigator thinking he could help individuals. And even that felt like a dead end to him. So he was kind of, in a way, a shell of his former self. And we kind of felt like the hotel in many ways was a similar subject, that it was a shell of its former self. And Halsey is the name of the character, Randall Halsey, and he comes to this hotel looking for a woman who's missing. Her family hired him to find her, and it's a hotel with a seedy past, and rumors of hauntings and all that. And you know, spoiler alert: within the first few pages, he and she are both killed inside the hotel, but their spirits remain. And so the book is really about, um, I'd say thematically, it's about a guy learning to embrace life even after he's dead. And
That was one of my favorite scenes is when he tried to run through the window and just fell back.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, it kind of has this dark kind of setup to it, in terms of, haunted hotel, murder and all that. But we really wanted it to be fun. We wanted it
Yeah,
to
it
be a
didn't
fun
feel dark.
read.
It felt fun
Right.
and, it flowed very well. Like, I like that.
Yeah. And we love the idea, if you pull the rest of the book, in issues 2, 3, and 4, in a world like that, this hotel that has 100 years worth of history, it's got 100 years worth of ghosts in it that, all tell different stories from all different walks of life. And we introduce a time travel element where, the history of the hotel is all within the walls. And yeah, we felt like that world was really rich and wanted to explore it.
No, yeah, that's a great description of it. I can't wait to see what happens in 2. Is it a 4-issue run or
It's a 4 issue
4
run.
issue?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm
We hope
down.
we definitely want to do more if
Okay.
people like it. If people like it and Invader's interested, we have ideas for more.
Awesome.
Um, yeah.
So what do you want readers to take away or feel when they read that first issue?
I want them to know they're in good hands, that like, oh, this is going to be a fun ride. I want to see where it goes. Um, I want them to identify with Halsey. I think we all kind of have that moment in our lives where, we feel like we're not living up to our potential or we're not doing what we should be doing. And, uh, he kind of recommits himself, to solving this mystery, solving this case, even though he's dead. And that kind of, I mean, that's the ultimate, like, pick you up by your bootstraps, right? Is
Right.
you're already dead. You should relax. But, yeah, I think I speak for Dave too when I say we want people just to have a good time with it and really embrace the characters and enjoy it.
I like that. What's what's like one thing most people don't realize about making comics that like maybe you wish you knew before that you've learned? Like advice for other creators.
It takes time, especially if you're not doing it for a living, if you're not working for DC, if you're not working for Marvel, full time. It's great, but you got to be patient. It takes time to get artwork done, it takes time to get the coloring done, it takes time to get the lettering done. And then there's editing on top of that when you get it back and realize, oh, I thought this was all going to fit in one panel, but really that's too much dialogue for one panel. Should I shift it to another panel, or should I trim it or get rid of it altogether? Um, it's just a process, I think, and to do it right, you just need to be patient with it and be self-critical a little bit. Like, uh, don't think everything you do is great, because odds are, if you keep working on it, it'll get a little greater.
Right.
So, don't be too sensitive if someone says something about it that's like, oh, this feels like a lot of dialogue. Don't, just be open to making it better, I guess, you
See,
know?
when I wrote my script, I had the feeling I didn't have nearly enough dialogue.
Okay.
And which is I guess I don't know, maybe that's normal. I have no idea. It's my first one. But what I ended up giving my artist, I'm also giving him like a co-writing credit as well because he's doing the lettering as well. And he'll send me a page back and he'll add a few things like that make it just flow so much better. Like just one little bubble that just makes the whole page work so much better. And I'm like, all right, you're getting a co-writer credit because this is so much better because of you. Like it's amazing. And seeing it all come to life, it's just
I mean, look,
so cool.
yeah, I mean, it's completely collaborative.
Hmm.
You know, if you're in your one lane where you say, I'm the writer, please don't give me any feedback. Don't add anything to this book. Like that's not realistic.
Yeah.
If your artist is looking at what you wrote, he's trying to make the best version of that on his end too.
Yep.
And sometimes that
Makes it
means
even better.
that's right. That's right. And same with the coloring. On this book in particular, Do Not Disturb, when we were writing this, I had a very kind of black and white Sin City noir look in my head. And we sent it out to Lorenzo, who did the color. And the colors came back and they were very red, very green, and it was a very different look than what I thought. But now, um, it took me a minute to get used to it, but I realized like, oh, this is a much more interesting looking book than I had in my head. In my head, I had a very standard kind of noir, deep shadows,
Dark.
deep blacks. Yes. And
That would have made it
eh,
a lot darker feeling, I think.
correct. I think you're right. Like,
And
and that just goes to show that like, you know, it's collaborative and listen to what other people like. If you trust them to put their
mhm.
stamp on it, then listen to what
It
they're
is
telling you.
awesome to see that too, like how people interpret. Like you said, you had dark in your hair in your mind. He comes back with is it the color it is now? Is that what he came back with?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, he comes back with that, which is very art deco, I would guess might be a good way to put it, which I
Yeah.
think is great. And yeah, it looks and it makes it more not as dark and feeling, I think. So I think if you're gonna have the fun with it, the fun of the story, I think it's perfect.
Yeah.
Now, because
I
I'm
feel
so
like
experienced with that now that I've got 3 pages in my comic back, so
well, yeah. Hey, man,
I'm just
you know what? You got to start
that's
somewhere,
right.
right? And yeah, like with the colors, I felt like he embraced the emotion of what it felt like versus the literal what it would look like in real
Right.
life, if that makes sense. And I think it looks great. You know, it really accentuates Dave's art, and I'm just really proud of the whole package.
If you could have any dream collaborators, who would they be?
Ooh, um,
I mean, it sounds like
well,
you got your partner's already a dream collaborator, so
I do. I love Dave. I wish he was here,
yeah, we'll have to have him
but
on sometime.
he would love it. He
Okay.
would love it. I don't know. Is it weird if I'm a writer to say another writer?
I don't
Because
think so.
I love Ed Brubaker. I love his books, and he's so consistent for me. Like his books are always good. Some are great, but his books are always good. And so for me, uh, I would just love to work with him and figure out like how he goes about doing what he does, you know?
Alright, awesome. And where are your books gonna be available? So they're gonna be available they're in Lunar distribution, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
people can pull those starting soon, hopefully, if not now. Tell your local comic shops.
Absolutely.
I've got some more fun questions, but before that, I like to give everybody the opportunity to like just talk about anything. If I didn't ask you something that you want to talk about, or if I didn't, something you need to bring up and go over, or I just like giving people that opportunity before I do the fun questions.
Not really. I guess the only thing I would mention is if people choose to pull Do Not Disturb and they like it, just know that we have another book out there. Another great publisher in the UK called Blue Fox Comics published our original book called The
I
Inspectors.
need to write that down. So I make sure to put it in the show notes. What was the website one more time?
It was
Blue
bluefoxcomics.com.
Fox.
And yeah, our first book was The Inspectors, volumes 1 and 2. and but they release a lot of stuff. They do lots of Kickstarters. They've got a lot of great books that they've done. Simon, who runs it, wrote a series for Top Cow a while back called Antarctica, and he and uh, he and Marielle both run that place, and that's great. It's great.
Awesome.
I'd highly recommend them.
That's what I think so cool is comic artists are well, artists, writers, comic creators, they're not tied to one, usually not tied to one publisher. They can work for anybody. Books can be
Yeah.
published by 10 different publishers. It doesn't matter. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm not a publisher, but I can imagine that certain publishers have, a brand or something they're looking for. They think, oh, we kind of put a book like this out before. And so you kind of just have to be flexible and open. And I think it's good to expand your relationships beyond,
100%.
just one place here, one place there. Like, get to know people, get to know who you like working with. So far, luckily, we like working with everybody. So it's been great.
One thing I forgot to ask about, what about conventions? Do you guys go to conventions? Do like the convention show travel scene?
We're going to more
Okay.
to be perfectly honest with you. I was always a little insecure because we only had the one book out to sell,
Right.
but yes, we absolutely want to do more. We've done a couple, mostly with inspectors.
Mhm.
And now that Do Not Disturb's out, we're gonna have a lot more to sell. And yes, I plan on going back to California to do a couple shows with Dave, and I plan on doing some out here in the Nashville, Tennessee,
Okay.
southern area where I'm at right now. So yeah, I'll definitely be at more shows.
Awesome. Yeah, that's me too. I'm going to start next year. I actually just filled out an application for one in February. So we're starting to go out do the show route because my plan is to release mine Memorial Day weekend. So
Okay.
my printer and everybody's up there in Michigan. So I'm going to one in Traverse City, Michigan, the end of like Memorial Day weekend. That's going to be
Okay.
like the official release. I might have some early copies before then, but I'm not rushing the artist at all to, whatever he needs to get it done. Um,
Are you going to interview yourself when your book comes?
that's good. I'm That's a great question. I was actually thinking about that earlier today. The couple episodes ago, I interviewed, and actually, I owe this all to him, really, because this started as just me and my daughter doing a fun show. And then together, just something for her and I to do together. This gentleman, Jeff Haas, he's a publicist, and he, represents, indie comic creators that are like on Kickstarter trying to just spread the word
Mm.
and, charges them a cheap publicist fee, 150 or $200 for like a month's worth of, publishing, publicity. And he just reached out to me. I literally had like 9 episodes out, 8 or 9. So, and I mean, I've only been doing this almost not even 6 months, which is crazy. And this will be episode like 46 or something like that.
Yeah.
Um, I just dropped 43 this morning, number 43. He emails me and he reached out to me and he's like, "Hey, I got this guy, you know, Chris Saloff. He's from Homebrew Comics. I don't know if you ever heard of them.
Mm-mm.
Uh, illustrated his own comic book. I'm wanting to do an interview. Would you be willing to do it?" And I was like, "Well, that's kind of cool. I never even thought about interviewing other people."
Yeah.
And so I was like, "Sure, I'll try it." And I was so nervous going into it because, like, that was episode 11. That was my
Yeah.
first creator conversation interview. And I was only like a month or so into this, maybe 2 months, 2.5 months into this. And, I was still getting used to myself being on camera, hearing my voice. Cause, a year ago, if you told me I was going to do this, I thought you were crazy. I hated my voice. I hated my way I look on camera. And now I love it. Now I thrive in it, cause I'm very extroverted. So I've realized that I can actually talk to other people when I can't, when nobody's around at home. I can actually
Right.
talk and interact with people. So it's been really cool. I did it, so nervous. It came out phenomenal. I had such a good time. I asked him, "Hey, do you have any questions?" He was like, or anything you want to go over, kind of like I asked you? And he was like, no. He's like, you actually made me think on some of your questions. Like, that was awesome. I was like, okay, maybe I'm good at this. And so I just kept doing them. And
You seem very natural.
I
Yeah.
appreciate that. Jeff sent me a bunch more, to do. I'm doing another one next week with one of his guys. And so then I just started going on social and messaging people. Hey, you want to be on? Then I put a reel out, said, hey, if you want to be on, reach out to me. And then people started reaching out to me. So now I've got a
It's great.
bunch. I was doing one a week. I'm actually going to release 2 a week in October and November because I just have that many people. Um, and I'm hopefully, well, I don't know, hopefully, maybe I'll keep doing 2 a week. I don't know, but December, we'll see. So at least 1 a week, if not 2. But I was thinking about that. It's weird. I've not been on anybody else's podcast, right? I've always been like the
Yeah.
host. So
Right.
when you say, am I going to interview myself? I might have to like create my own video to do that. So AJ, tell me about creating your comic, and then like switch to the other side of the room, answer the question. But
Or have your daughter do it, right? You
right,
said.
my daughter could do it. But I was thinking, I was like, I ask all these questions, like, how would I answer a lot of these questions? I got to start thinking about that if I, do other people's podcasts. That'd be
Yes,
kind of funny.
it's a fine line between being prepared and not being over prepared, right?
Right. Cause I
Like,
don't want to like be over prepared, but like, I don't want to look stupid either. I remember 20 years ago, I was trying to, they told me to do a radio commercial or something, and I was like froze. I was like, I don't know what to say. This is dumb. Why am I here? Here I am, though. We'll see.
yeah,
That's a great question, though. Am I going to interview myself? I'm going to write that down because that'll remind me. Any other questions you want to ask me? Give me some practice here. Well, cool. No, this has been awesome. Let's do some fun questions.
sure.
You might have already answered a couple of these. I've found people usually do, but that's okay. Who was your first favorite superhero or comic character that you liked?
Oh, it had to be Superman.
Okay.
The uh the Christopher Reeve Superman 2 especially,
Yeah.
that was my favorite superhero movie for a long time.
Very cool. That's awesome. Do you remember? I think you already mentioned this. Do you remember the first comic book you ever read?
The answer to that is no.
Okay.
In terms of actual comic books, I don't remember what the first one was. I remember, like I said, growing up, it was all about the comic strips in the paper.
Yep. Me too.
It was Calvin and Hobbes, The Far Side. It was
Garfield,
that.
Peanuts. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. I mean, there were a bunch of them that would just kind of give you a quick
Mhm.
chuckle. Um, and yeah, the whole like comic world wasn't really opened up to me until I was an adult, honestly, it always comics felt a little intimidating because I knew that there was such a big history to it, right? Like, Spider-Man goes back for however many years that is. Superman goes back to the very beginning. And it always felt like, how can I get into that? Like if I'm jumping in this late, I always felt too late. It wasn't until I really discovered graphic novels and collected editions where I realized, oh, there's a million different stories. They're just set in the same universe.
Right.
So, these comic stories do have beginning, middles, and ends. You just have to kind of, figure out what book you pick up. And as long, especially with superheroes, as long as you know the origin, you can start, as long as you're at the beginning of a run, you can start.
Right. That was tough for me too. Growing up, we didn't really have a comic shop near us. Like your
Yeah.
corner store would sell some comics once in a while. But I just remember going to the store and I'd pick up and it'd be like issue 4. And I'd be like, well, where's 1, 2, and 3? And it's not on the shelf. How do I get it? There's nowhere for me to get the 1, 2, and 3. So I would never buy one, because I couldn't start at the beginning. And
Right.
then I'd find a 1. So I was like, oh, okay, I got a 1. But then I'd go back and they would never have 2 and 3, or they'd have 4 and not 2 and 3. I'm like, it was so annoying to me. But
Right.
now that I'm adult and there is so much history, like I'm trying to collect a bunch of the old Thors. I'm a Thor fan. So I got like a 127, which is pretty old, and then one of the Journey into Mysteries. I don't know. They're gonna be hard to get, but we'll get them one day.
Now,
Um,
do you collect those? Do you collect those just because you know they're interesting issues, or do you try to collect like that whole arc?
so I'm trying to collect the whole Thor run,
Okay, the whole
the
thing.
Mighty Thor run. Just I'm a Thor fan, as
Okay,
most of the stuff behind me is Thor or Batman, but um, I've just always been a Thor fan. So it's like I had some of the Thor comics from maybe 15 years ago when I had my game store. Somebody gave me some comics as like store credit for something else. And I was like, I'll take some Thor comics. I like Thor. And then when I got into this, I was like, oh, I pulled out all my old comic books, and I was like, man, I got a few of these. I'm just going to collect Thor. And I buy oh, it's not here. It's in my backpack. Um, like the Master Series that, those miniature graphic novels where you can read like
yeah, yeah,
20 at a time. Um,
right,
that has the original Journey into Mystery 83 on. Um, and I read them that way. I don't really read the older comics. But I
okay,
just thought it'd be kind of cool to collect them. And the
yeah,
older, the better. Cause like those two right there, are actually only, I might have one or two other Silver Age comics, from this, those are like Jack Kirby, Stan Lee books right there. It's really cool
yeah,
to have those. They're horrible shape, but I don't care about that. Like I care just more about how cool is it that I have a Journey into Mystery 109. Like
absolutely,
Thor started the whole story at 83, so that's only, 26 issues in. And then
yeah,
it switched to the Mighty Thor at number 125. Actually,
okay,
126. 125 was Journey into Mystery. 126, it became the Mighty Thor. And then that one's 127. It's number 127. So it's only the second actual The Mighty Thor book.
that's cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So I'm gonna try to collect them all one day. If to get like the first appearance of like Thor and the first appearance of Loki are like, $1,500, $2,500, $3,000. Crazy. I gotta hit it pretty big to get those books, but
Just keep doing 2 interviews a week. You know what I mean?
right. 200
You'll
views a
get
week.
there.
I'll get there eventually, right? By the time I retire, that'll be my retirement gift. I've
Just
got
keep
83.
keep telling everybody to like and subscribe. Right?
That's right. I'm
That's what you got to
horrible
do.
about that too. Horrible. I do it like my daughter and I when we do our show. We'll do it, but in these episodes, I always forget that. It's because it's not written down on the paper. See, I need to write that down and add it to my script.
That's right.
And I've been creating I'm gonna do a Kickstarter for my book just for fun. Like it's like I'm gonna do like $500, you know, goal
You should.
because I don't really I don't need the money to finish it, right? Like it's gonna be a finished product before I even launch the Kickstarter.
Does it
Um,
matter though? I mean,
Probably not.
all these publishers that don't need the money, they do Kickstarters all the time, and
Mhm.
I think it's just a way of it's a way of like pre-ordering a book,
Right,
right?
that's
That's
how I'm
essentially what
doing
it
it.
is.
So I
Yeah.
set it up and I have a page. So here's my face, shameless plug. There, go to the Kickstarter page for the Chronicles of Panel Pete and hit the notify me on launch button.
Chronicles of Panel Pete.
Yep, that's my mascot, Panel Pete,
Okay.
right? So I wrote a story and he's the star of the story. So the Talking
And
Comics mess.
when is that coming? See, I am interviewing you
See,
now,
you
so
are. So
this
it's
is all
coming
towards.
that this man, we've come full circle. I love this. It's coming the end of May is the official launch. We'll be at a convention in
Okay.
Michigan. Gonna launch the Kickstarter. I'm hoping probably like April
Okay.
1st, no later than April 1st to launch the Kickstarter. There's already I built out the Kickstarter already, but I really just needed somewhere for people to go and hit that notify me on launch so they have can get notified when it launches. But we have 4 covers currently, with a 5th being drawn right now by my daughter. Um, so the artist did a cover, I did a cover. I've got 2 blank covers. My daughter's doing a cover, and I'm trying to get a couple more too, just with people I interview if they're interested. Hey, I'll send you a script, draw me a cover just to see what you,
Right.
and I'll pay him for it. And we'll do prints of the covers, And, I'll probably do like shirts and hats and stuff. I got a whole like merch print line store online. So I added a bunch of shirts today. So they're actually, you can get a Chronicles of Panel Pete shirt today too. So, um, and, but the one, like if when I start going to conventions in February, I'm not going to have the comic book to sell, which is okay because I'm really going for the podcast, right? To advertise the podcast and let people, I can take prints of the covers and sell those, but I don't
Right.
need to make money at those. I mean, it'd be nice to, pay for the booth, but a subscriber is more of a win than a, sale of a print, right?
Right.
Because
So so as a podcaster, what do you do at a convention? Do you line up people to interview
yep.
while you're at the
So
convention?
like I'll ask them some of these same questions, like who's your favorite superhero? I've done
Yeah.
that. I have never had a booth yet. We're going to start doing that next year. But I've gone to conventions and I have just pulled out my phone and interviewed people just to make some like TikTok,
Yeah.
stuff with these same questions. And I'll do that. And yeah, I'm still trying to figure that out and trying to figure out how to build my booth. Because if I end up in an artist alley, you can only use the table. You can't have like a backdrop and stuff. So
Right.
there's some very creative artist alley booths. So I got to
Yes.
get creative.
Well, you know what? You figure it out. Go get the
Yep,
experience and then just figure it out. You'll learn
exactly.
something from it, right?
That's right. Can't be scared to do it. It takes, you got to get your reps in.
That's right.
I'm sure the first thing you ever wrote wasn't the greatest, but the 20th thing you wrote was great.
Mm, you know, getting better every time, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
My day job, I work in golf. We do a golf podcast and we coach golf, and I manage a lot of the back end stuff and have coaches, but that's one of our huge mottos is, it takes at least 20 attempts at a certain yardage to beat it, to get better at golf. So, but that's applies to almost everything you try to do.
That's right.
All right. So more fun questions. What's your favorite current series?
Well, my favorite current series. Honestly, I don't read a lot of current series, to be honest with you. I'm mostly catching up on uh creators and different things that I never discovered before. You know,
Okay.
like I read the whole Paper Girls series. I bought that compendium, all of it. So I got through all of that. Like I said, I've been reading a lot of Ed Brubaker. Like I really liked his Pulp was a great book. Um, I honestly have been reading some Invader books. I just got done with the first volume of Enormous, which they released on Kickstarter not too long ago. So yeah, I've been going through, and I haven't been collecting individual issues. I've mostly been collecting trade paperbacks and complete series, and just going through and doing that. I read the full series of Outcast with Kirkman. Um, uh, so yeah, that's kind of how I tackle my comic reading.
It works.
Yeah,
I go back and forth. I struggle because I try to read all the current stuff for, to have stuff to talk about with my kid on the show. And then I'll go back and read, 5 or 6 episodes of the Thor so I
right,
kind of jump back and forth,
right,
on my reading,
right.
trying to catch up. I'll read it all eventually.
Yeah, I try not to get too, I try not to get too far behind on things that if there's something I see and I really want to read it, you know, I won't collect the individual, but I will collect the trade the moment it comes out.
Awesome.
Like our colorist, Lorenzo, he did a book and I love the art for it, for Mad Cave called Love Me a Romance Story.
Okay.
Mad Cave released it last year, I believe. And so I picked that up. I haven't read it yet, but I plan on reading it soon.
I'll have to
And
look into that one.
yeah, the art style is really really cool, and he's a great colorist. So I grabbed that book.
He did your cover art too, right?
He didn't do the art. He did the coloring
The
though. Yeah.
coloring. Okay, the coloring. What's next on the list here? Okay, these are fun. If you could live in any comic book universe, which one would you choose?
Oh, wow. That's a good question. Uh, well, definitely not Ed Brubaker. I know I've screamed the praises of Ed Brubaker, but I don't want to live in the worlds he creates. Uh, wow. Uh, probably, probably Spider-Man. Like, it's just so much fun, you know? I love that whole world. Gotham City's too dark. I don't want to live there. Metropolis, the world ends there just about all the time. Like, I'm going to say Spider-Man, like just seeing a teenager flying through the skyscrapers, like
Yeah.
that'd be pretty cool, you know?
Awesome. Love it. If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
Well, I feel like everyone says flight because that's obvious, right? So I feel like I should pick something else. Probably super strength,
Okay.
you know? I mean, yeah, I'm getting to the age where everything creaks and cracks. So it'd be nice to just be able to, you know, punch through a wall or something and not feel a
Not
thing,
feel it. Y
not wake up black and blue, you
Yeah, I
know?
feel you on that one. The age is getting to me. Which comic book character, could be any character, it doesn't have to be a sidekick, but which one would you choose as your sidekick?
Ooh. Uh, I'd pick Superman. And I'd use him like, the bullies use their goons in every bad movie where I just walk around with Superman behind me and
That's
anybody
right.
that wants to mess with me, like, hey, yeah, okay, you can, you
Walk
know,
into the publisher's office with Superman behind you, be like,
that's right.
"You're gonna publish my book."
That's right. That's right.
Alright, one last one. Is this um, if your life were a comic book, what would the title be?
Gosh, if my life were a comic book, what would the title be? Probably just keep digging, you know, or,
Like it.
because I've been writing for 20 years. Most of what I've written has not seen the light of day, but you just keep going because you love it, you know? And
And if you
so
can get paid to write and do what you
that's
love,
right.
you never work a day in your life, right? That's what they tell
That's
me.
right. That's right. I'm still waiting to get paid enough that I can,
Right.
but we're getting there. We're
Getting
getting
there.
there.
That's right.
Yeah.
You'll be publishing 20 more books soon. Hopefully you get more for from Invader. That'd be awesome.
That's the goal. That's the goal.
So what's coming next for you?
Well, currently Dave and I have another series we're working on. Uh that is it's a sci-fi story based on a screenplay we wrote together a few years ago. He's currently doing the art for that.
Very cool.
So that's completely written. And then after that, we would like to do follow up to D&D. We would like to do another run on that. Uh, so that's kind of what's next for us,
Very
I
cool.
think.
What's the
Assuming people like it, but I hope they will. Yeah.
I'm sure they will. I liked it. No, I'm gonna get it. I can't wait to get it. And hopefully get to see you at a convention. I'll have to come to a Nashville convention. How long does it take you guys to create a book together? Like one issue, you think?
One issue.
Or one like are you doing it by issue? Like did you do not
Well,
disturb by issue or by all four?
what we do, our process is we write out the whole thing
Okay.
from beginning to end.
Very cool.
But we know that breaking it up into issues is a possibility. So we kind of use those page counts as areas to find endings within the story, act breaks, if you will, like they would say in TV. So we write everything and draw everything as one continuous book, but we have the endings of each issue if a publisher decided they wanted to put it out. Like Invader decided they wanted to put out individual issues for Do Not Disturb. Uh, Blue Fox Comics, the previous one that did Inspectors, they wanted to do 2 trade paperbacks. So we had 8 issues for that as a full book, and they decided to do 2 4-issue trades. So it really just depends, but we just structure it in that way. And so how long does it take? I don't know. it really depends on how long it takes us to get the story right, how long it takes Dave to get the art done. Um, it can there's really no set time, to be honest, because it can go faster sometimes and it can take longer. Like Do Not Disturb, the buildings were very detailed, like it has that kind of Art Deco
Hmm.
style. So Dave and I did multiple rounds on the building, thinking like, oh, I think we should add this or that, or you know, uh, so it just kind of depends. Like, hopefully months, not years, but there's really no set time. It's whenever it's right. That's how long it takes.
That works.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Well, cool. Well, I really appreciate, you coming and hanging out with me. Where can people follow you? Do you have socials? You on any socials for people to
I,
follow?
yeah, you can find me on Instagram, J Hunter Roe. Uh, and that's pretty much it.
Okay.
I'm on Facebook, but I don't really post there that much. I mostly just post on Instagram. I know I should be on TikTok, but I just can't do it.
Instagram. All right, I'm gonna follow you on
Yeah,
I'm gonna find you on Instagram so I can make sure to put it in the show notes here.
appreciate it.
Joe, you said it was Joe J Hunter. Sorry, Hunter ROE, right? Looking. Is it just not two R's?
No, not 2 hours.
Okay. Count.
Tried Jarod H. Roe, actually. Sorry,
Oh, okay.
you asked me too fast. Sorry.
Oh, that's my fault. Oh, no problem. Jarod,
No, I'm only being interviewed. I should have that readily available,
right? I'm gonna find it before we leave. I'll cut out all this dead space. Don't worry. That's the joy of
being able to edit your own work.
right.
Yeah, Jarod H. Roe. That should be it.
Jarod H. Roe. There you are. Think I found you. Yep.
All right.
Do
Sorry,
not
sorry
disturb.
about that.
No, no worries. I'm gonna write it down though. Jarod H. Roe. There we go. All right, I just followed you.
It goes to show you how good I am about being on my social media, right? That I
Well,
can barely get my own handle out.
that's all right. You can follow me at Talking Comics anywhere on the social. Well, Facebook. No, I'm sorry. Instagram. See, I don't even know where I'm at. Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube.
Okay.
And like and subscribe on all of those.
That's right.
And Apple and
Smash the like
Spotify.
button.
You can download it. I'm everywhere. And we have new products in the shop. And go to the Kickstarter page and follow Panel Pete, the Chronicles of Panel Pete. But thanks again, Jarod. I really enjoyed this.
No, thank you. It's been great. It's really been great. I appreciate it.
Awesome.
In a world of heroes, villains, and epic stories,
Braha, Onicon, and their ultimate sidekick, Panel Pete, take you on adventures each week.
showing off their comic book hauls,
Fun trivia and games, honest reviews.
and inspiring conversations with the creators and consumers who make it all possible.
Join in on the conversation.
This is Talking Comics.
Trying to start a podcast but feeling stuck? At Aquadio, we help creators make waves with everything you need to bring your voice to life. Hosting, recording, editing, and marketing. Whether you're starting from scratch or just need a little help polishing your sound, we're here to hydropower your creativity. Comment on this video or DM us today and let's dive in.